Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're working on the radiator installation. We're building our bracket, hanger, whatever we call this thing. And similar to the factory one, but lighter and suits our needs. So I've already started on it. We're making it out of aluminum, as you can see. And this works just like the factory one. The radiator has these tabs on the bottom and it just drops into my bracket. So it's got a couple holes on the bottom. Now the bottom piece is a C-channel. It's kind of hard to see. But anyway, that's a C-channel for strength and stiffness, and then the vertical parts are just flat aluminum. And I'm here to tell you, this thing's super thin and skimpy, but that's intentional. It's really easy to overbuild this stuff, and it'll work, but you're just adding weight unnecessarily. So like, if you build 100 brackets and none of them ever fail, your brackets are too heavy. You know what I mean? Like, if you've got a few of them that are cracking or bending or something, you're like, okay, we're finding the limits of, you know, how light can you make stuff before you start to have problems. So we built this skimpy, but honestly, what's a radiator and fan gonna weigh? Maybe 15 pounds, it'll probably be fine. So anyway, we're still in the process, but I wanna show you how we're doing this and why. So my goal is I wanna be able to take the radiator and just drop it in the car, you know, like a normal one. And to do that, I've got to get this bracket attached to the car. Now if we come back over here, if we remember when we put the fuel cell in, we put these threaded nut, like rivet nut inserts. Yeah, there you go. These guys. So it's like a pop rivet, but it's got threads. So we're going to do the same thing. The only thing to mention is, if I was to try to access a bolt in here, I wouldn't, you know, it'd be very difficult. Technically possible, but difficult. However, that's okay because once it's built, the radiator pops out, so you can just, you know, bolt your bracket into the car with plenty of access, then drop the radiator in. So that's how we'll do it. And in fact, that's how Mazda did it. So that should work pretty good. So anyway, we've this bracket basically centers up. If you look, yeah, it's basically centered up where there's some material here. So we are going to, I'm going to put a mark on the top, but I know which one it is because it's just one behind this. So basically we're going to go ahead and drill our holes, put our pop rivets in, or at least drill the holes. We'll at least do that. Once the holes are in there that are ready for the pop rivets with the threads, at that point, right before we put the nuts in, we'll reach in with a Sharpie on the backside and transfer that mark to the aluminum. Then we'll install our rivet nuts. We'll drill the holes with the in the aluminum where we put our marks, and then it should just bolt right in, and our radiator should drop in. Once that's done, the bottom hangers will be in. We still got to do something with the top. We'll figure that out. We haven't figured that part out yet, so we still got to do that. But anyway, we're going to get going on this bottom bracket. All right, check it out. So she's hanging on her own. Got the brackets in. Did our rivet nuts like we talked about. So these are 1/4-inch bolts, but I drilled the holes 5/16 to give it a tiny bit of clearance, which is all we needed. So everything lined up actually pretty well. So that's great, and she's looking good. It's about what I expected. Up and down, it's pretty stable. Left and right, it wobbles a lot. So our upper support will need to offer left-right support so the radiator doesn't wobble. But this is looking good. So we got it, it's in its home position right now, using a block to support it. Now we got to figure out how we're going to do this top mount, which I'm not sure yet because obviously the car, I cut the center out of the car, so this is my end of metal. This is one bolt and it holds the bumper. I hate having to share like one bolt doing multiple things, but I also didn't want to attach it to the bumper. So still got to figure it out, and I don't want to do anything heavy either. So I guess maybe we could run something across like this. Be a little bit of work, but anyway, we're gonna work on that. All right guys, man, we're finally done. We liked this bracket so much, it was so much fun building it, that we did it twice. So that one we had the angles right, almost everything was right, but we were too short in this direction. And when I looked at this, I knew this thing needed 2 bolts, and the 2 bolts needed to have some space so that when this tries to move left and right, it's like a lever arm, and it's going to want to pivot. So these two need to be spaced enough to catch like the reaction load and prevent that from moving. So I think we got it with this, and I'll show you. Let's see. So if I grab this, and you can see a tiny bit of movement. Actually, the whole bumper's flexing. Watch this. So that'll get a little better when all the bolts are in the bumper, because I only got 2 bolts this way. Up and down. Oh. Ooh, up and down. Oh. Okay, well, we got a problem. Sweet, we got that on video. Whoops. Okay, well, apparently it can bounce out of the lower hangers, as we just discovered. So we're not done. We just thought we were done. Yeah, because you hit a bump, radiator pops out. Okay, well, that's awesome. So we don't have enough axial support. Yeah, I can see that now. Alright, well, looks like we're almost done, but not quite. But it's almost fully constrained, and it looks pretty good. So we got to figure out some way to retain it axially. It's strong enough, but it can bounce out. So only axial problem is up. Going down, like I can push on this as much as you want. Well, not as much as you want, but that's fine. So I guess we got to figure out something for the up movement, or at least capture it on the bottom or something. Well, I guess we're working on that next. But I thought I was filming a video to tell you it's done. I guess it's almost done, but it looks great, so I'm pretty happy with that. We did have to modify this area, so we did our cutout for our fuel filler. We got plenty of room to fuel the car, and if I do like a top view, you can see we got plenty of room. And this whole section, Mazda has like different levels. I had to hammer all this flat to make this whole area flat, because it wasn't flat and I just really couldn't get it to work. And finally I realized, I'm like, yeah, I just need to flatten that, and then I'll have a nice area to bolt a bracket to. So that's what we did. So overall looking good. Now I got to figure out something about the axial support upward, and then we should be good. Alright, now it's fixed. So we cheated. We said we weren't going to modify the radiator, but this was a pretty easy one. So let me see if I can get the camera. I don't have the car on the lift, but this should be visible from underneath. Maybe. There it is. So the little stud that drops into this part, let's see if I can get the camera way up in here. This might work. There it is. Maybe. So I just drilled and tapped and put a bolt in a fender washer. So now it's got axial support and it can't move up. And that solved it. Now it's fully constrained. Or I believe it's fully constrained. So radiator mounts are complete, and you can still pull the radiator in under a minute. You just have to zoom out the 2 bottom bolts and then the top ones. And actually this top one is so flimsy, you can actually just peel it up, lift it up a little, kick the radiator back, and then pull it out. So either way, not a big deal. Comes out easy enough. And it's pretty compact. As you can see, we got a ton of space on that driver's side, which is what we were going for. So, yay, a little more work, a little more progress made. Alright guys, so our next project, we've got a lot of things to work on, but we're going to try to knock out this reservoir. So for the radiator, or expansion tank, so the radiator has this little hose, and it's got to go over here. That's going to be our new reservoir. I bought this a while back. The fittings are on the bottom, but not a big deal. And I think we're going to put it here. I've looked at all kinds of different places, and I did some Google searching. So if you mount the reservoir higher than the radiator, and some of you may have seen this before, but if you do that, when you take the cap off, water actually tries to pour here and it can spill out. That's kind of annoying. So you don't want it too high, or that'll happen. And if you put it too low, that can also make it hard to like lift the coolant up. So that can be an issue, but I'm just going to put it here. I think it'll be fine. It's a little lower than the factory one, but I kind of doubt this is a problem. And also it fits there pretty well. So a few things I checked. I've got the wheel turned as sharp as it'll go. There's plenty of clearance. If you can see this, I could put my whole hand in here, so no issues. We looked at it, and the only downside, I've got it kind of tucked under the headlight. Kind of awkward, but actually you can still get to this, and there's some benefits to doing this. One, it's going to keep the engine bay more open, like all of this area, you know. We're not really affecting it. And you can still put the cap on, and really if you have to fill this, you can still pour coolant in, like vertically. You can still kind of do it, but you can totally stick a funnel in there to add coolant. So that's fine. From looking at it, how to bolt it up, it's got some mounting tabs, but they're really not suitable for this. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to cut those tabs off and make our own bracket. And right now I'm thinking just do a flat strap across like this and put bolts like, you know, one over here and one over there. Do something like that. I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to look at this a little more and get to work. Also, I think we're going to have to finally put it on the lift so we can get access to all this. Alright guys, we got it done. So I didn't really film it in the process, but you can imagine. Cut off the old tabs, made these new ones, welded them on, bolted them up. The only thing I'll admit is I put nuts on the top instead of these rivet nuts because I ran out of rivet nuts, which is sad. Also, this one, I can't get my rivet gun in there anyway, and I actually purchased more rivet nuts, but then I'm being messy and I lost them. So, whoops. So anyway, gotta buy some more of those, then I'm sure I'll find the old ones. But this looks good. Let's double check. Oh yeah, plenty of room. I can get my entire fist between these two, so no worries there. And that's it. Good progress. Radiator fits, fuel cell. Now we got our expansion tank in here, and it's tucked away in a good spot. So that's it for today. We are knocking off. We are tired. We've been up here 13 hours, so we've been working. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, y'all take it easy.